Level 1, the resident. You are 28 years old. You live in a cramped apartment that smells like old coffee and bleach. You owe $400,000 in medical school loans. You work 80 hours a week at the busiest trauma center in downtown Miami. You survive on vending machine food and 3 hours of sleep. It is a Friday night. The emergency room is a war zone. The double doors crash open. Paramedics roll in a man with 3 gunshot wounds to the chest. He is a known enforcer for a violent cartel. The police are waiting outside the operating room. They want him to wake up. They want him to talk. You do not care about the police. You are a doctor. You look at the monitor. His blood pressure is crashing. You scrub in. You crack his chest open. You spend 6 agonizing hours pulling shattered lead out of his lungs. You tie off the bleeding arteries. You staple him shut. You save his life. You are exhausted. You sleep in the break room. 2 days later, you walk into the ICU. The bed is empty. The enforcer is gone. The monitors are disconnected. The police are furious. The hospital administration blames security. You walk to your car in the dark parking garage. A black SUV pulls up. The window rolls down. A man in a suit hands you a thick brown envelope. He does not speak. He drives away. You sit in your car. You open the envelope. It is filled with crisp $100 bills. Exactly $50,000. You stare at the money. You think about your crushing debt. You think about the eviction notice on your door. You keep the money. You tell yourself it is a one-time gift. You tell yourself you did nothing wrong. You saved a life. You do not realize that you just sold your soul. Level 2, the house call. 6 months pass. You pay off your highest interest loans. You buy a decent bed. You start to feel normal. Then your phone rings. It is 2 in the morning. It is an unregistered number. A voice tells you to walk outside. You do not want to, but you remember the eyes of the man in the SUV. You put on your shoes. A black car is waiting. They tell you to get in. They put a heavy canvas bag over your head. You smell cheap cologne and gun oil. You drive for 40 minutes. They take the bag off. You are in the basement of a massive mansion. A man is lying on a pool table. His leg is shattered. A bullet went straight through his femur. He is screaming. A cartel lieutenant stands next to him. He holds a duffel bag filled with medical supplies. He looks at you. He tells you that hospitals ask too many questions. He tells you to fix the leg. You look at the crude supplies. You tell him this requires an operating room. You tell him the man could lose his leg. The lieutenant pulls a pistol. He places it on the edge of the pool table. He tells you to make it work. You are terrified. Your hands are shaking. But muscle memory takes over. You pump the man full of local anesthetics. You dig the bullet fragments out of the muscle. You set the shattered bone using metal plates and screws intended for veterinary surgery. It is brutal. It is messy. But you stabilize him. You wrap the leg tightly. The lieutenant hands you $20,000 in cash. They put the bag back over your head. They drop you off at your apartment. You scrub the blood out from under your fingernails. You lock the door. You tell yourself this is the last time. It is never the last time. Level 3, the shadow clinic. The calls become regular. You are a third-year resident by day, saving innocent lives. By night, you are the cartel's best-kept secret. You patch up stab wounds. You remove bullets. You treat chemical burns from drug labs gone wrong. You start to see a pattern. They never bring you the bosses. They only bring you the soldiers. The disposable ones. You realize that you are keeping the machine running. You are keeping the violence alive. The cash piles up. You hide it in the walls of your apartment. You hide it in hollowed-out books. You realize doing house calls is too dangerous. The environments are too dirty. The infection rates are too high. You take a massive risk. You approach the lieutenant. You tell him you need a dedicated space. You tell him you are losing too many men to sepsis. He agrees. You rent an abandoned veterinary clinic in an industrial park. You pay the landlord a year in advance in cash. You gut the building. You install industrial air filters. You buy stolen hospital-grade equipment from the black market. Surgical lights, sterilization autoclaves, heart monitors. You create a sterile sanctuary in the middle of urban decay. You set the rules. No guns inside the clinic, no names. Drop the patient off and wait outside. They agree. You feel a surge of power. You are no longer just a terrified doctor. You are a director. You control the environment. You tell yourself you are minimizing harm. You tell yourself that even criminals deserve clean medical care. You use your medical ethics to justify your crimes. You are lying to yourself. You love the adrenaline. You love the fat stacks of untraceable cash. You are addicted to the underworld. Level 4, the extractor. Your clinic is thriving. You quit your residency at the hospital. You tell your family you are joining a private practice. You are not healing anymore. You are solving logistical problems. A black van pulls up to the back door of your clinic. 4 men drag a terrified teenager inside. He is sweating profusely. He is seizing. He is a drug mule. He swallowed 50 balloons of pure liquid cocaine to cross the border. One of the balloons is leaking inside his stomach. The cartel does not care about his life. They care about the product. The street value is $2 million. The lieutenant tells you to get the balloons out. You look at the teenager. He is crying. He is begging for his mother. You know that if you perform a massive laparotomy, he will need weeks of intensive care. You do not have an ICU. You tell the lieutenant, the boy might not survive the surgery. The lieutenant does not blink. He tells you that if the product dissolves, the boy dies anyway. He tells you to cut him open. You put the boy under. You take a scalpel. You slice open his abdomen. You carefully extract 50 toxic balloons from his stomach and intestines. You wash them off in a metal basin. The boy's heart rate crashes. He is bleeding out. You demand more blood from the men outside. They laugh. They tell you to finish cleaning the product. You watch the boy flatline on your monitor. You stand there with blood on your gloves. You do not perform CPR. You know they will kill him anyway if he survives. You hand the clean balloons to the lieutenant. He hands you $50,000. They take the product. They leave the boy's body on your table. You wrap him in a heavy black contractor bag. You call a cleaner. You mop the floor. You feel nothing. Your empathy is completely dead. Level 5, the interrogator's shadow. You have proven you can handle death. Now they want you to manage suffering. You are summoned to a warehouse near the docks. You do not bring surgical tools. You bring adrenaline, coagulants, and smelling salts. You walk into a soundproof room. A rival cartel boss is strapped to a heavy steel chair. He is beaten beyond recognition. The interrogator is a massive man with dead eyes. He holds a pair of heavy pliers. His job is to extract account numbers. Your job is to make sure the man does not die before he gives them up. The torture begins. It is barbaric. It turns your stomach. But you stand in the corner watching the heart monitor. When the man goes into shock, you step forward. You inject him with synthetic stimulants. You force his heart to keep beating. You stitch up his bleeding arteries just enough to keep him conscious. You are playing God in the darkest way possible. You are weaponizing medicine. You are not prolonging his life. You are prolonging his agony. The man looks at you. He begs you to let him die. He begs you to give him a lethal injection. You look away. You check his pulse. You tell the interrogator he can handle another 10 minutes. The interrogator smiles. When it is finally over, you pack your bag. You walk out into the cool night air. You vomit in the alleyway. But you do not walk away. You go back to your luxury condo. You pour a glass of $1,000 scotch. You look at your bank account. It has 7 figures. You have crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed. You are no longer a doctor treating criminals. You are a criminal with a medical degree. Level 6, the Reaper. The cartel does not use you for street soldiers anymore. You are too valuable. You treat the elite, the captains, the money launderers, the corrupt politicians who take their bribes. Then the ultimate test arrives. The second in command of the entire cartel is diagnosed with severe liver failure. He needs a transplant to survive. He cannot go on a national donor registry. He is a wanted international fugitive. The cartel boss summons you. He tells you to fix his brother. You tell him a transplant requires a genetic match. You tell him it requires a living donor or a fresh cadaver. You tell him it is impossible. The boss slides a thick file across the mahogany desk. It contains medical records, blood types, tissue markers. It is a list of 20 innocent people. Tourists, low-income workers, homeless immigrants, people who will not be missed. The boss tells you to pick one. You feel a cold dread settle in your bones. You are no longer waiting for tragedies to happen. You are initiating them. You are ordering a murder. You look at the files. You pick a healthy 24-year-old backpacker with no family ties. 2 days later, the backpacker is brought to a sterile underground facility. He is heavily sedated. He does not know where he is. You scrub in. You stand over a perfectly healthy human being. You take a bone saw. You open his chest. You harvest his liver. You watch the life drain out of him. You place the organ in a cooler. You walk into the adjacent operating room. You transplant the stolen liver into the cartel boss's brother. The surgery is a flawless success. You are praised as a miracle worker. They throw a massive party in your honor. You smile. You drink their champagne. You go to the bathroom and wash your hands for 40 minutes. You cannot scrub the feeling of murder off your skin. Level 7, the compound physician. You are officially part of the family. You are moved out of the city. You are relocated to a heavily fortified, multi-million-dollar compound deep in the mountains of Mexico. It is surrounded by 30-foot concrete walls, razor wire, and armed guards. You are given a massive mansion on the property. You have a private chef. You have sports cars you cannot drive outside the gates. You are given a state-of-the-art medical facility built entirely underground. It rivals the best hospitals in the world. You have MRI machines, robotic surgery units, and a limitless supply of pharmaceuticals. Your only job is to keep the boss, his family, and his top generals alive. You deliver their babies. You treat their high blood pressure. You fix their cosmetic flaws. You live in a golden cage. You realize that you have not seen the outside world in over a year. You do not have a passport. You do not have a phone connected to the outside internet. You tell yourself you are safe. You tell yourself you have achieved the ultimate medical dream. Infinite funding. Zero bureaucracy. No insurance companies to argue with. But you notice the guards. They are not just facing outward to protect the compound. Some of them are facing inward. They are watching you. You try to take a walk near the perimeter wall. A guard politely but firmly tells you to return to your mansion. You realize the terrifying truth. You are the most valuable asset they own, and people do not let their most valuable assets walk away. You have traded your freedom for an unlimited medical budget. You are a billionaire hostage. Level 8, the narcochemist. The cartel boss realizes your true potential. You are not just a surgeon. You understand human biology better than anyone else on the payroll. The cocaine market is getting harder to maneuver. The boss wants to pivot. He wants to dominate the synthetic drug market. He brings you into a massive underground chemical laboratory. It is pristine. He wants you to formulate a new drug. Something highly addictive, incredibly cheap to produce, and completely untraceable by standard law enforcement drug tests. You refuse. You tell him you are a healer, not a poisoner. You tell him creating a new epidemic goes against every oath you ever took. The boss does not get angry. He walks over to a flat screen television. He turns it on. You see a live video feed. It is your mother. She is gardening in the backyard of her quiet, suburban home in Ohio. A man in a black jacket is sitting on a bench across the streets, watching her. The boss tells you that your oath is to your family first. He tells you to put on the lab coat. You break. You spend 6 months locked in the laboratory. You synthesize a terrifying new compound. It targets the dopamine receptors with surgical precision. It is 10 times more addictive than fentanyl. It leaves no chemical signature. You test it on captured rival gang members. You watch them lose their minds. You watch them tear their own skin off in withdrawal. You perfect the formula. You hand the chemical recipe to the boss. He mass produces it. Within a month, the drug floods the streets of America. You watch the news on your satellite TV. You see the overdose numbers skyrocket. You see entire neighborhoods collapse. You did this. You did it with a microscope and a beaker. You are the deadliest weapon the cartel has ever possessed. Level 9, the Black Market Emperor. The boss is assassinated. A drone strike obliterates his convoy on a mountain road. The cartel fractures. A bloody, chaotic civil war erupts between the lieutenants. The compound is under siege. Bullets shatter the windows of your mansion. You run to your underground hospital. You lock the blast doors. The fighting lasts for 3 days. When the dust settles, a new boss emerges. It is the lieutenant you saved all those years ago on the pool table. He walks into your hospital. He is covered in blood. He tells you that the old ways are dead. The drug trade is too volatile. He wants to shift the entire cartel's focus. He wants to monopolize the global medical black market. He makes you his equal partner. You are no longer just an employee. You are an emperor. You establish a network of illegal organ harvesting camps across third world countries. You bribe government officials to look away. You sell hearts, lungs, and kidneys to billionaires in Europe and Asia. You set up offshore clinics where the ultra-rich come for illegal, experimental genetic treatments that are banned in civilized countries. You hire dozens of disgraced doctors to work under you. You run the logistics of human life. You price organs like commodities. A healthy liver is worth 200,000. A strong heart is worth 500,000. You sit in a boardroom in a private island facility. You look at spreadsheets filled with human inventory. You have transcended traditional crime. You are the god of a dark parallel medical universe. You have more money than small nations. But you cannot sleep. Every time you close your eyes, you see the faces of the people you carved apart. You see the teenager with the balloons. You see the backpacker. You realize your soul is completely irreversibly rotting. Level 10, the immortal prisoner. You are 65 years old. You are the most wanted medical criminal in human history. Interpol, the CIA, and the world. Health organizations have a joint task force dedicated solely to hunting you. You live in a subterranean bunker beneath a private fortress in the Swiss Alps. It is the safest place on Earth. The new cartel boss, your partner, is an old man now. He develops a rare, aggressive neurodegenerative disease. His brain is slowly dying. He brings you to his bedside. He tells you that he refuses to die. He tells you to cure him. You run every test. You spend millions on experimental research. You realize there is no cure. His body is shutting down. You tell him the truth. You tell him he has 6 months to live. He looks at you with cold, dead eyes. He presses a button. Armed guards enter the room. They grab you. They drag you into a specialized medical suite you designed yourself. It is a room made entirely of reinforced glass. They strap you to a chair. The boss is wheeled in. He whispers that if he dies, his empire falls. And if his empire falls, you die. He orders his men to connect his failing nervous system to a massive, experimental life support mainframe. It is a machine that requires constant daily biological maintenance. It requires bone marrow extractions, blood filtering, and spinal fluid transfers. And you are the only person on Earth who knows how to operate it. They lock the glass door. They tell you that you will live in this room. You will perform the daily procedures to keep him breathing. If his heart stops, the room will automatically fill with neurotoxin. You look around the sterile glass cage. You see a small cot. You see a sink. You see the dying monster you must keep alive to survive. You think about the day you paid off your student loans. You thought you were buying your freedom. You look at the thick glass walls. You realize you have spent your entire life saving monsters. And now you are trapped in a cage with the biggest one of all. You will never see the sun again. You will keep him alive today. You will keep him alive tomorrow. Because you are terrified of the dark.